Hi guys, welcome to another video, and today we're going to a beautiful place. Yes, we're going to Pavilhão do Conhecimento, which is a kind of science museum here in Portugal. It's a very interesting place. We can learn a lot there. It has a lot of fun activities for the whole family, and me and my family are going there. I'll take you along with me. And what does this has to do with art? I have to turn everything into art. So I'll choose one activity that we did in Pavilhão do Conhecimento and turn it into a painting. And the challenge here for you is try and guess which activity am I going to paint in the second part of this video. If you do guess it, please leave me a comment saying, I guessed it. It's just a kind of a game that I want to play with you. I thought it would be fun, and you know me, I'm all about fun. So now let's go to Pavilhão do Conhecimento, and then you'll see me painting, and I'll walk you through all my process and the challenges I found along the way and how I overcame them, if I overcame them. And you'll see me making my own wet palette and, well, a lot of stuff. There is a lot of juicy content in this one. I hope you enjoy it till the end. Eu sei o favor. this was the end of our great adventure in Pavilhão do Conhecimento. It was a very well spent time, very amusing, and I'm filled with inspiration. I'm heading home right now and I just want to paint. So when I got home, I took this other painting of my easel and installed there my paper pad, because there is where I'm going to paint. And now you can see the photo which I'm painting. It's that fun moment where people can put their heads through a hole in the bottom of the plate, so it looks like our head is in the plate with the fruits. And there's mirror walls, so you can see the rest of our body inside of that. And it looks like there's just our head, a cut head on a plate. I thought that was funny and I wanted to paint that. I made the sketch with graphite, but I think this graphite is soluble, which is very welcome because it's going to blur and mix with my paint as I go on top of it, and it makes all these mixtures, and I love that. It's kind of a surprise. It's fun. Then I'm starting with the background. I don't know if you're asking yourselves, why did I choose such a small brush? Well, it's because I like to paint little by little and get all these rough textures that I can get with it. So this is going to be the only paintbrush I'm going to use all throughout my painting. Here you see I painted a little bit more off camera, but it's basically the first layer, I'm mapping the colors that I want to, well, at least that I think I want for now. And I decided to change the color of the background. I don't want it to be so pale. As you can see, I'm not following exactly the colors that I can see in the photo. So I decided the background is going to be green, and I'm mixing my acrylic paints with water to get some bits to be a little bit more dark than others. And you can see how rough that looks by using this small brush. I want to use some more greens on some of the fruits. So I'm going for the same green, basically, in different shades of it. Some a little bit darker, some a little bit lighter. And this way, by using a limited color palette, I can get my colors to be very cohesive with each other. I think that's always a good choice, a very safe choice. I'll risk a little bit later, but for now, I'm staying in the safe side. I added these kind of cloths underneath the plate because I think it adds interest to the composition, and I also added a glass of wine and a pineapple on the back. That's all for composition's sake. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. decided to go for a wet palette because I know I'm not going to finish this painting today. Again, I'm having a very busy week, so I'm taking a bit here and there for painting, and I don't want my colors to dry. That's the first time I'm doing this wet palette. I took this kind of Tupperware vessel with a lid, a very tight lid to be hermetic, and I'm using a little bit of tracing paper because that's waterproof to be my paper palette. I decided to glue it onto the Tupperware. I don't know if that's needed or not. Like I told you, it's the first time I'm doing this, so I decided to secure it a little bit more. Now this is an old sponge, and I'm going to put it underneath the tracing paper, and I'm gonna wet it. And that is what will get my palette to stay wet for a long time. It will provide the moisture needed so my paints won't dry. That's how it's looking. And I forgot that the sponge will get bigger as it gets wet. So I'm going to wet it, and then I'll cut a little bit more from it so it can fit the space properly. Then I place the paper on top of it, glue it again to the Tupperware. I'm making sure I'm securing that paper in there. Better safe than sorry, I guess. And there you go, my wet palette is ready to use. And this lid is very tight, so it makes my box hermetic. Testing if I can open it without getting the paper out, and I can. It was a success. Then I'm just putting yellow for now because I have the other paints on my other wet palette. I don't know if you remember, I think I showed you in an old video. You'll see it later in this video as well. Then I grabbed my red glasses. Do you remember this? I was wanting to buy a pair of red. Oh, they're not red. But I thought the lenses were red. You know, the photo had red lenses. And I bought this not to use them as sunglasses, but to use them as a value finder, you know. And if they were red, I could see the values better. But they're not red, they're brown. And I'll buy some other ones, red ones, to test my values. That's a bummer. Red glasses to use while I'm painting as a value finder, and it works really lovely. You can see how this first layer of paint was lacking a lot of contrast. All those shapes in the middle look the same value, and I really don't want that, so I have to work on that. You see the difference without the glasses and with the glasses on? There you go, there's my wet palette. All these little boxes have paint on them. They're hermetic, and my paint stays wet for a really long time. I mean, months in a row. And I decided to swatch the paints that I had in this palette in my sketchbook so I can test it also with my red glasses for the values. In this way I'll know which colors that I have to use on my painting to increase the contrast in all those fruits that were not contrasting at all. So that's what I'm doing here. You can see that sometimes I put on the glasses and then I take them off because painting with them is not very comfortable, seeing all things red. That makes my head hurt a little. So I'm just checking the values for a little bit. And you can see already that the contrast is getting so much better. So this is basically the technique I use from now on my painting. Checking out the values that I want and going for them. So now this is how it was looking. I decided to change the color of the plate because it was looking a little bit too much monochromatic per se for my taste. And I exchanged that brown color for this light blue that has roughly the same value. So I'm not changing the value there, just the color. And I'm going for a change in the values again. I'm getting my background lighter because it was all very middle toned and I didn't want that. And now I'm going even a little bit lighter. And I'm correcting a little bit some of the fruits also. And in the end, I decided to add the stripes to the background that were on the reference photo. I didn't think I was going to incorporate that in the painting, but then I thought better about it and I liked them, so I put them in. First I went for this light salmon color, but I'll change it later. You see me there changing the value underneath the table, and that's how it looked first. And then I changed the color of the stripes to blue because of the value. I made some other changes as well off camera. The glasses color became blue. I had a little bit of shadow to the plate and the table. I had some reflections in the glass. And I think that's it. I corrected the values and now you can see better how that cloth on the table underneath the plate leads your eyes to the face on the plate. That was what I was intending with my composition. And with this value play, I can get that. And I'm pretty happy with the outcome. And this is how my wet palette is looking after, I think, a couple of days or 3 days without being used. The paints are very liquidy because of the moisture on the inside the Tupperware, but they're good to go. They look a bit watery and strange, but I like to paint with them nonetheless. And in order to finish my painting, I just have one thing left to do, which is sign it and show you some of the close-ups. And in the end, I'm really proud of this work. So what did you think? Did you like it? Well, I had a lot of fun. Here it is, my painting. Please tell me what you think in the comments. I'm always willing to learn, so if you have constructive critiques to make, please write it on the comments as well. They'll be much appreciated. So thank you for watching. Hope you liked this video and subscribe to my channel. Please click the bell as well to stay tuned for my next ones. And until then, bye bye!